Hey, what's up world? It's Max and we're gonna do another vlog today. I'm gonna talk about, can you daily drive your Lotus Elise or your Lotus EXIGE? So that's a really loaded question because the answer is yes. You can daily drive pretty much any car. I mean, if you have unlimited funding, you can daily drive whatever you want. You can daily drive a Veyron, whatever you want. But generally speaking, I think we're talking about like, hey, can I daily drive it and realistically expect to not dump millions or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars into it, and can I get by with my daily life in this car? And the answer is maybe. So let's go hop in the car and find out. For a little spin in the Lotus EXIGE. Alright guys, so if you're wondering about daily driving your Lotus Elise or your Lotus EXIGE, you'll notice the camera is jumping up and down a little bit. Well, it's mounted to the windshield, and that's every time I hit a little tiny bump, and it's bouncing quite a bit, but you can feel, I swear, if I put a penny on the ground and I ran it over, I'd probably be like flying through the air. It is a bumpy ride. But you're gonna say, oh, well, obviously if I'm buying a Lotus EXIGE, that I don't care about the bumpy ride. Who cares? Well, you gotta realize if you're daily driving it, that can become, it's not optimal, right? It's uncomfortable. The seats in these cars, the Elise especially, are horrible. It's like comparable to sitting on a wooden bench with a wooden back. It's super hard. The padding is like paper thin, and the only spot that has padding is right in front of your legs. It's nice and thick, but you don't really rest any weight on there. So like, you think they should put padding, like use that padding on your back or something, I don't know. The Elise seats are actually a little bit different than the EXIGE seats. I don't know if they're more narrow, I guess, for lack of a better word, but I think they are. I can't say definitively whether or not they're more narrow, but overall it seems like they're way more narrow. And the reason is because, actually the reason I sold my Elise is because the seat, as I'm sitting in here, it would like stab me in the side. My leg would start twitching non-stop for days on end. Reason I got rid of the Elise, got this EXIGE, haven't had that issue, and the seats do seem a little bit wider, a little less narrow. They're not stabbing me like the Elise, so that's good. So basically, if you want to daily drive a Lotus and you want a little more comfort, you probably want to go with the EXIGE. But that's not saying a lot, guys. All right, guys, so if you're going to daily drive your Lotus, you're going to want to know, what's the cockpit view like? So believe it or not, I put 26,000 miles on my Lotus Elise in 2.5 years of owning it. So I put a lot of miles on it, but I didn't necessarily daily drive it. I took it to a lot of car shows and I drove it around a ton. I mean a ton, guys. Like right now, I'm just out on a drive. It's fun, it's an awesome time. So you'll just rack up the mileage from doing things like that. My EXIGE, I put about 4,000 miles on it so far. And I also drove it 1,200-ish. Actually, no, I got another video. 1,211 miles back home. So that added, you know, a third of my mileage that I put on it so far. You gotta be careful, like right there. You probably didn't see it on the camera, but there was a little piece of paper flying across the road. And you gotta care about those kinds of things, guys, because I don't know if it's a paper or something that could scratch my paint. It's just, you're always worried about something happening, or, you know, if you got it in the parking lot somewhere, you want to keep your eye on it. It's just like that feeling like you don't want to leave it alone. Let's talk a little bit more about the luxuries in these cars. I mean, they're super luxurious. Basically, you have two luxuries in these cars. You have AC, actually three. You have AC, you have a radio, a crappy radio, and you have power windows. Hooray. It comes with all the standard things that are required, you know, seat belts and stuff, but if they weren't required, Lotus probably wouldn't put them in there just because they would save like 5 ounces of weight. Basically, you have that many luxuries. That's a zero. There's no luxuries, guys. The radio sucks. Let me just crank up the static. There's absolutely no bass, none. They're little like 4-inch speakers, guys. So your JBL speaker that you buy at Walmart, Target, that little speaker is gonna be a lot better than these. The sound quality is better in those. You don't buy this car for the radio. Listen to this engine, guys. You don't need a radio. If you didn't watch my last video, guys, it's about going grocery shopping in your Lotus EXIGE. Well, that's something you'd be doing if you're daily driving it. But there's a difference. Everywhere you go with these cars, people stop. They want to talk to you. They want to get a conversation in. They want to take pictures. They want to sit in it. And you'll get lots of common questions. How fast is it? How much does it cost? Can I sit in it? Can I get my picture with it? What size engine's in it? What's the top speed? How fast does it hit 60? There's probably a dozen or so really standard questions that you get in this car. I'll probably make another video of that and go over all that. You have to be willing to answer them. Even though you've answered the same question 100 other times to 100 other people, you got to be nice, put on a smile, and be like, yeah, you know, the top speed is 155, and look at the disappointment in their face. But then you have to tell them, it's a road-going go-kart. It is not made for top speed. This thing will keep up with, you know, some of the best cars in the world on a racetrack. It's just not made for top speed. You can take the governor off of these, and I think somebody had that quoted at around 177 miles an hour. But that's like, you're risking blowing up the engine and all kinds of damage and catastrophic failure. Probably not worth it, especially if you're daily driving it. Another thing you want to take note of is that in your Lotus, you've got 2 seats. So when you've got 3 friends over at your house, you guys want to go somewhere, and you've only got your Lotus because you want to daily drive it, well, you're going to have to tell one of your friends they're walking or taking Uber or something else because they can't fit. Or maybe they can fit on someone's lap, I don't know. Maybe you can make it work. But generally speaking, they're not going to fit in here, guys. Speaking of tight fit, you got to worry about the trunk space in this thing if it's your only car, if you're daily driving it and you don't have another car to take over. Let's just assume you don't have another car, guys. What that means is if you don't have another car, you're gonna have to rent a truck all the time. I can't tell you guys how many times, if we didn't have our Range Rover, I would have had to rent a truck because I simply couldn't haul something in this. So guys, right now I'm heading to get gas. And if you're gonna be daily driving this, you're gonna be doing that a lot. Something about these cars is, you might look online and be like, oh, they get, you know, between 20 and 30 miles a gallon. That's in prime condition, guys. And I mean, that's like bathing it, not having any fun, just driving it down the highway. You'll get that kind of mileage. And generally, I think it's a 10-gallon tank. So you'll get around 200 miles per tank of gas, give or take 50 miles. If you're doing all city driving, you'll get about 150 miles before you're going to want to fill up. If you're doing highway driving, you'll probably get closer to 250. But these things, they suck down the gas. It's a little 4-cylinder engine, but they do suck it down. And then only a 10-gallon tank, you're going to be using that gas a lot faster. Speaking of gas, you're going to be getting 93 octane everywhere you can. If you don't have 93 available, you're going to get the next closest thing. There was a time, guys, when I was traveling and I was in my Lotus Elise and I was searching and searching and searching for a gas station that carried 93 octane. I couldn't find this gas station, guys. So I had to stop in the middle of nowhere, some small town, and I had to fill up with 91. I probably should have put some octane booster in there or something, but I didn't, and I tried starting it, and the car was like literally like, it was like, it did not want to start, guys. And finally it turned over after like some blood, sweat, and tears. It finally turned over and it got started, but these cars don't like anything less than 93. When it's on 93, it's just like, yeah, it's just sipping on it like, so yummy. And then it just drinks it all. So besides daily driving it, guys, you're gonna be going on a lot of car cruises. You're gonna be going out and just having fun with the car. So you're gonna be daily driving it, but then you're gonna get home after a long day of work and driving home, and you're gonna be like, wait, I should have just went for a drive in my Lotus because it's so much fun. So that's another thing. You're just gonna be spending more money on gas. All right, so if you want to daily drive this car, guys, you gotta realize these cars have a ton of quirks. They are the most quirky cars I've ever been in, hands down. Try and name a quirkier one and you're a liar, I don't know. But seriously, guys, they are very, very quirky cars. Every single Lotus I've ever been in is different in some way. They all have their own quirks, and it's kind of cool. Some of them are really cool, guys. Like this one, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm pointing at, but this little piece right here, it comes off, and that's how you take the hardtop off. And when you pull this down, it's actually signed by a lady named Tracy with a smiley face. And Tracy is the interior decorator, fitter, I don't know what the proper term is, but she's the interior person for Lotus, and she signs her name somewhere on the interior of your car. So that is really, really cool. It's just those little things like that that make Lotus awesome. So now that I'm done with that rant, let's get back on topic here. So they're quirky. Like this seat right here, it squeaks non-stop. It doesn't, like, it just, every little bump, right behind my ear, I hear like this little high-pitched like mouse sounding noise, like. So I'm sitting in this squeaky chair, and I'm sure I could probably fix it, but I just haven't had the time or haven't cared enough about that yet. Some other quirks, guys. The hardtop liner in the Elise, it tends to sag. But then, when it's warm out, it tightens back up and it doesn't sag anymore. Funny enough, the EXIGE only uses that kind of liner on this little front piece, but the back piece, they used a different one, which makes me really happy because I don't have it sagging. But this sags. Like if I keep it in my garage overnight, it's all sagging material, and then when I take it out for a drive like right now, it looks nice and crisp and like nothing's wrong with it. Since we're going to get gas, guys, I just thought of something. The gas gauge in these is notoriously unreliable. So when you're daily driving it, you're gonna want to fill it up when it gets down to like a quarter tank every time. If you let it get down lower, you might run out of gas, you might not, I don't know. And it's funny enough, guys, sometimes the gas gauge goes up. I don't know why, it just does. Let's talk about the AC for a second. So the AC in these cars sucks. Right now it's blowing hard, but it's barely hitting my face, and it's trying its hardest. Little quirks like that. If you go grocery shopping, we all know how it goes. You go for one thing and you buy a whole grocery cart full, you get a million things, and then you forget, oh crap, I have a Lotus, what am I gonna do? Well, you put as much in the trunk as you can, but what you're gonna have to do is put a bunch on your passenger. This happens to my wife sometimes, guys, and she doesn't get too happy about it. I've literally had so much stuff stacked up on her. You buy stuff and you have to stack it up on top of her, and then some of it on me, what I can, and then I still have to manage driving because the trunk's full. We got everything full in here. Some of it you might have to go back in the store and return because, hey, you can't fit it in your car. That's kind of embarrassing. Hey, can I return my bananas because I can't fit them? You'll get a really weird look when you do that, by the way. All right, so let's talk about some things you're probably really wondering about. How many miles can I drive this when, you know, daily driving it? Do I have to worry about maintenance? What's that like? How about winter time? I live in Minnesota. We get like 1 million feet of snow every year, guys. So in the winter time, you can drive this car. It's just like any other car. You don't have any issue worrying about, can I drive my Lotus in the winter? It's not a problem. But you have to be very, very, very careful. The reason being is the whole body of the car is made out of fiberglass. And something about fiberglass is that in the cold, it becomes very, very brittle. So that means you might hit something and it's probably gonna crack. Whereas in the summer, it might just scratch it. So the answer to the winter question is, yeah, you can drive it. It's not a problem. Just gotta be extra precautious. You know how in the winter you have all those snow chunks that are all over the road? You can't go out if the roads are like that. You have to be very vigilant. You cannot run any of those over. Something that's really nice about these cars is it's got an aluminum frame, an aluminum under tray. Everything's aluminum, so it's aluminum and fiberglass. Now comment below and pause the video. Tell me, what do you think is nice about having an aluminum and fiberglass car? The answer is that they won't rust. You don't have to worry about rust. Aluminum, it'll corrode with salt and those conditions. You don't have to worry about rust. So technically it's better than your Honda Civic in the winter. No, not really, guys. I'm just kidding. Maintenance wise, these cars are really awesome. Honestly, it's a Toyota engine, 1.8 liter. What can go wrong? I mean, overall, it's not like a Ferrari or Lamborghini maintenance. It's a Toyota maintenance. And the really nice thing about that is that you can call up Lotus and get a quote on a Lotus part. And when you get that quote, you're gonna hang up the phone and be like, I did not want to hear that price. But you can call up your Toyota dealership and say, hey Toyota, I have a Toyota Celica GTS and I need a thermostat. Toyota will be all like, oh, okay, yeah, I got that in stock. It's 20 bucks. Then you hang up the phone, you go to Toyota, you pay your 20 bucks, get the thermostat, and you throw it in your Lotus. Speaking of thermostat, that's the one thing I ever had go wrong on the Lotus Elise. The thermostat went bad. Now, guess how much I got quoted to change a thermostat in a Lotus Elise? $900 for a $20 part. I said I already had the part. I said I don't even want you guys to like quote me on the parts. I just want labor. $900, guys. And the reason it was $900 is because after I heard that number, I said, no way, I'm gonna do that myself. Like, I generally try to do all the maintenance myself, but I figured, hey, a thermostat, it's gonna be like 100 bucks. I'll just pay somebody else, then I don't have to worry about it. It's on their hands. What I learned from that was that it took me 17 hours to change my thermostat, guys. That is nuts. So the reason it took me 17 hours to change my thermostat is because you basically have to take the entire engine out. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you have to take the passenger side wheel off. You got to take the alternator off. You got to come through and like mangle your arm, all kinds of weird positions. You got to take the under tray off. I mean, it's a huge job that takes a ton of time, guys. Alright guys, just got gas. Gotta roll up the windows for the sound quality in that video. So the only other maintenance thing that I've had go wrong with this is the gas cap. I threw the infamous code P or E209 or something like that. I don't know. It's the same on all cars. One of you guys will know. I don't know if that just showed up on film out the corner of my window. It was a really nice turbo 911S, brand new. In maintenance, you don't have to worry about a whole lot going wrong with these cars. Obviously, you got to do the normal things like an oil change. Guess what kind of oil this car uses? You'll never in a million years guess it. It uses Mobil 1 turbo diesel truck oil. That is the recommended oil for US spec cars. There's an Aston. That's sick. We got some nice cars here in Minnesota, guys. In the last 5 minutes, I've driven past a turbo 911S and a Aston Martin, and I'm trying to figure out, we got a Maserati in front of me. So we got some nice cars here, guys. Nice cars. There's the Maz, guys. You can get those cars pretty cheap now, in like 30,000, 30 to 40,000. And there he goes. So daily driving these cars, another thing that you got to worry about is the other cars around you. Normally if you're in a car like the Taurus in front of us, you don't have much worries. I mean, you got to stay vigilant, watch out for drunk drivers, people texting while driving, that sort of thing. Well, what happens when you're in a Lotus? What's the first thing everyone does when they see this car? They go like this. They pop up their phone, they start filming you, and they start looking at their camera, and they don't look at the road. Problem with that is, it's dangerous. I've had an SUV in front of me before, and he was looking directly back at me while driving, and then all of a sudden he looked forward, and he thought he was gonna hit something, and he started swerving all over the road, guys. And what happened, he was almost on 2 wheels. He almost rolled and flipped, and it would have been a bad, bad, bad accident. Luckily he recovered, but you get people like that all the time in this car. The other common thing that other drivers will do is they'll ride you. I mean, they'll be a foot from your bumper. Again, they want to film it, they want to take pictures, or they want to see, hey, what kind of car is that? You know, is it a Lamborghini? Is it a McLaren? Is it a Ferrari? And then they go, oh, it's a McLaren Lotus. Yeah. I've heard that one a lot, by the way. McLaren Lotus. They just assume Lotus is like the EXIGE part, but whatever. You see this red light up here, guys? Something that happens, I swear, it happens probably every time you drive the car, guys. If you're stuck at a red light and there's a car in front of you, what will happen is they'll be looking back at your car through their rearview mirror. The light will turn green, but they'll sit there through it. One little trick that I've noticed to help ease up on that a little bit is that what you can do is you can put it in first gear and just start rolling a little bit. And when they see your car rolling towards them in their rearview mirror, they immediately start moving. So that helps a little bit. And if you guys have a Lotus EXIGE, as I've said in my other videos, you'll have zero rear visibility. You can't see out the rear. That's just how it is. And when I say zero, I truly mean it. There's none. You cannot see out it. You might as well not have one. All right, guys, so another thing you gotta worry about when you're daily driving your Lotus EXIGE or your Elise is that when you show up to work with this, because you're gonna take it to work, right? It makes sense. But you gotta realize when you show up, your coworkers, they're gonna start asking questions. They're gonna be like, man, how much does that guy make? He must be making way more than me. So those are the work-related aspects of this that you gotta think about. If you're gonna daily drive it, you're gonna bring it to work, and it might not go so well with your coworkers. It might not sit well. People might ask questions, and they might assume. Even though you just may have saved up enough money for it, even if you bought a Lamborghini, who cares? Like, it's none of their business how you paid for it, right? But at the end of the day, they might think that you're making way more money than them, and you might be making less. Who knows? But you know, it's just one of those things that it's kind of a touchy subject with a lot of people. So you don't want to rub someone the wrong way that you're working with. That's generally how I feel. Hey, what's up, guys? We just got back from that drive. That was fun. So we talked a lot about all the things that could go wrong or things you can expect when you're daily driving your Lotus Elise or your Lotus EXIGE. An EXIGE in my case. So one other thing that I didn't really mention is that you gotta really, really, really be careful when you drive in traffic with these cars. They overheat super easily, and the reason is because there's a vent right there, there's a vent right there, there's vents up here, there's more vents in the front, there's vents in the back over the engine, there's vents everywhere on this car. And the reason is for air to cool it down, to help cool the brakes down, to help cool the engine down, to help cool everything down. Well, these cars, they don't do it very good just on their own. So if you're sitting in traffic, those temperatures just keep creeping up and up and up, and then you start sweating, and then you're about to cry and scream bloody murder because like you're stuck. So you have a couple options in that case. You pull over to the side of the road and put your hazards on, wait for the temperatures to cool down, then you move another mile and repeat, rinse and repeat. You gotta keep doing that. That's your first option. Your second option is turn around. You see traffic jam, you just turn around. If you're heading home, oh well, you're not heading home anymore. You're gonna go somewhere else for a couple hours till the traffic dies down. That's all you got, guys. So that's super inconvenient, something that you don't wanna have to worry about every day when you're daily driving it. All right, so to answer the question, can you daily drive one of these cars? In my opinion, the answer is no. The reason is because it's a toy, guys. It's a very expensive toy. A lot of people see these cars and they're like, oh, an Elise, I can get one for 30 grand, that's super cheap. Or an EXIGE, 50 grand, look at that. 50 grand for that, I'm gonna buy one. But you gotta realize, it's a $50,000 toy, guys. It's nothing more than a toy, that's it. All right, so now you got a $50,000 toy and you wanna daily drive it, like it doesn't work out right, you know what I mean? You gotta have other cars that you can take, other vehicles that you can utilize, things that have luxuries, things that can haul stuff. All right, guys, so you gotta have these other things in order to be able to have this thing. And that's just my opinion. Now, you could certainly daily drive this car. I'm not saying you can't. You can take it out. You really don't got a whole lot to worry about maintenance-wise. You don't have to worry about losing tens of thousands of dollars because you put 100 miles on it or something. Nothing like that. You can daily drive it in that respect. You could drive it every day of the summer, but in my opinion, if you don't have other cars, it's not feasible because this, to me, is a toy. That's it, nothing more, and it shouldn't be anything more for anybody else because it's just not practical in any sense, none. But to answer the original question, can you daily drive one of these cars? Sure, not gonna hurt nothing. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Take care. Like, subscribe, comment if you haven't already. And if you have any video suggestions for me, let me know. This one was brought on by a user and I appreciate that. So take care, guys. Have a good one and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks.